Can't you see I'm trying to do a soup video here? What's with all the noise?
Why are the chefs always yelling at people? My God, such an asshole.
Well, I guess he doesn't listen. Anyway, we're going to be making a soup today. We're going to be making a very easy soup. A soup so easy, you can make it in your garage or in your shop while you're working on your classic Triumph. We are going to make cream of broccoli and cheddar. Alright, so basic ingredients for this soup are as follows, and I will give you the quantities, cup measurements, and weights as we go along. Anyway, we've got some nice fresh broccoli here. We've got 3 heads of broccoli. I'll break that down and show you what we're going to do with that in a minute. We've got a couple of onions, just regular cooking onions. We've got a leek that we've already halved and washed. We've got some 35% cream here, or whipping cream. We've got a little bit of flour. We've got salt and pepper. We've got some cheddar that we're going to use for the soup garnish at the end. We've got some chicken broth. This could be homemade chicken broth or chicken stock, or it could be vegetable stock if you wanted. We've got some butter and we've got some spinach, and the spinach is going to be an optional ingredient that we add at the end, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Those are the basic ingredients. Alright guys, so here we go. First ingredient we have are a couple of onions that we want to clean up. So we'll just peel these up, and we're just going to dice these onions up. And again, this is going to be a pureed soup, so it doesn't really matter how accurately you dice these onions up, although you want them to cook at the same pace, so you don't want to have, you know, big cubes of and big chunks and small little pieces, so you want to have them relatively the same size. So we're going to try to dice them the same size. We'll dice these up. Remember, watch your fingers. The other one. And the last one. All right, we'll give you a cup and a weight measurement when we come back. Alright guys, we have approximately 2 cups of onions diced, and as you can see, or hopefully you can see, that's about 280 grams, 281 grams. Alright, we'll move on to the leeks. Alright, we've got the leeks on the scale, and they weigh about 175 grams, so we'll just chop those up and add them to the measuring cup. Maybe we should have done this video like the magic of TV and just pulled out a cup of already diced, chopped leeks. That's not how we roll. Alright, so let's get those in the cup. And you're going to have roughly 2 cups of leeks as well. So 4 cups total, 2 cups onions, 2 cups leeks. And we'll move on to the next part. The most important part, broccoli. Okay, I think before we get to the broccoli, we are going to start sweating down our onions and leeks. So we've got the pot on my little burner over here, so we're going to add a little bit of a little bit of butter. Let's go with approximately 2 tablespoons of butter. Let's get this thing fired up, hopefully. Could be a short video if this doesn't work. Do you really think I wouldn't have tried this at home? Of course I did. Just doesn't want to cooperate now while it's on camera. Hang on. There we go. Beautiful.
Bring the welder.
Yeah, bring the welder. We'll make the soup with a welder. That would be quite a feat. All right, so we've got, going to do a couple of tablespoons of butter, as we mentioned. Could use olive oil if you wanted to. Just get that melting away. And we'll come back when that's melted down. Should have had the pot preheating. All right, we're going to make this shop smell good. So the butter is just about melted down. We've got the burner on medium-high heat. We're going to add the onions and leek, and we're going to sweat them down. So sweating them down means cooking and softening without color. So we're going to keep an eye on them. We don't want to burn them. We don't want to color these. This is a white soup. It's a cream soup. So you don't want to have little brown bits of leeks or onions burnt up in it. So here we go. And turn the heat down a little bit. Okay, we'll sweat those down. We'll move on to the broccoli. All right, as mentioned, we've got 3 heads of broccoli. I'm not sure whether we're going to use all 3 at the moment, but we're going to start with 2. And what I want to do is I want to break 2 of them down to add to the soup. So that'll be the pureed part of the soup. So those are going to be cooked in the chicken broth until they're very, very soft, and then we're going to puree them. The other head of broccoli over here, we're going to reserve till the end, and we're going to cut that into small little florets, because I like my cream soups to have some texture in them. So after I puree the soup, I'm going to add in the reserved florets to give it a little bit of color and a little bit of texture to the soup. So that's what the plan is. So let's proceed to breaking those broccolis down, and our broccoli, I guess they are. Anyway, we're going to also keep the stems, so we'll peel down the stems. We're not going to throw those away. They'll be perfect for soup. We'll come back once I break those down a little bit. All right, here we go. So we are going to keep the stems as mentioned. And all we're going to do with the stems is we're just going to slice them up and use them like that. So they'll cook a little bit more evenly with the flowerets of the broccoli that we're going to break up into smaller flowerets before we add them to the soup. So all we're doing with the flowerette part is we're just cutting them into about 6 pieces. So just little wedges, not too big. It's not overly critical the size, but you just want to break them down so they cook a little bit more evenly. So there's just about that size. Okay, our broccoli is ready to go. We'll move on to the next step. Alright, so we've added our broccoli to the pot with the leeks and onions, and we've just got it sort of still on fairly low temperature, just sort of sweating away. We can put the lid on this pot for a few moments just to sort of get that broccoli to wilt a little bit. So we're going to do that, and then we'll come back to the next step. Just remember, you want to keep stirring the pot. You don't want this to burn to the bottom. So again, medium-low heat right now. Just sweating those onions down. We're going to pop the lid on and just wilt that broccoli. Alright guys, you can see that the broccoli is sweated down a little bit, so softened slightly. So our next step is we're just going to dust this with a little bit of all-purpose flour. So we're going to probably use about, probably just about a tablespoon or 2, just to dust the top lightly. Alright, and we'll mix that in. And then we're going to add our chicken stock. Alright, so one thing about working out in the garage or in the shop, you don't have to worry about spilling stuff on the floor. Oh. Unless it's not your own shop or garage. Okay, we're going to add our chicken stock, and we've got 2 liters of chicken stock. We are probably going to add some water as well. We definitely want to cover this broccoli entirely. So there's the first liter. And here's the second liter. And I think we'll add about 2 cups of water. So let me go get the water and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back and we're just about to add our 2 cups of water. So here we go. Perfect. So we're going to bring that up to a boil, and then we're going to turn it down to a simmer. And we want to cook this, probably going to take about an hour or so. We want to cook this until this broccoli is extremely soft. So we'll come back after this is cooked for approximately an hour, and we'll have a look and we'll check the doneness of the broccoli. Alright, we've just put the pot lid on, and we're going to bring that up to a boil before we turn it down to a simmer. So in the meantime, while that cooks, we are now going to turn our attention to the GT6.
Come on, did you come here to help or what?
I came here to make soup and help. We're going to multitask today. Like you said, you got to eat lunch, right? You need to have lunch.
It's nice to have your personal chef.
Alright, the soup's been simmering away for about 45 minutes or so. So we're just continuing to let it cook until that broccoli is completely softened. So just thought I'd give you a quick shot of that while it's cooking away. Back to welding. Alright guys, the soup's been simmering for about an hour and a half, and it's nice and softened, including the stems. You want to make sure that they're completely soft, because you don't want to have big chunks of hard stem in your soup. So what we're going to do now is we're going to work on the garnish for the soup, and we're going to break the broccoli down into smaller flowerets for the garnish. If you didn't hear that last part, because of all the banging, we're going to break the broccoli down into smaller flowerets for garnish for the soup. Alright, we've got our broccoli flowerets now into bite-sized pieces, spoon-sized pieces. So we just broken them down into, smallish sized pieces. That's 1 full head of broccoli. that we're going to put back into the soup. So the next point on the soup, let me zoom you back out here, is to puree this. Now, you can use a stick blender like I'm going to use, or you can use a blender or a food processor, whatever gets the job done. So we've got the stick blender here. Just get her plugged in. Oh, it's plugged in already. Thank you, kitchen assistant. And we're just going to blend this up. Be careful. Obviously, you don't want to splash yourself. Start on low and then increase the speed. Alright, so this is where the optional spinach comes in. As you can see, the soup is it's not as brilliant green as you might think with all that broccoli in there after it's been cooked down for quite a while. So we have a little bit of a trick, is we actually use a bit of spinach to bring some of that green back. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add a couple of handfuls, probably maybe 2 cups of baby spinach. It's already been washed. We're just going to add it in and blend that in. Alright, here goes the spinach in. A couple cups is about 2 handfuls. Just stick that in there. And we'll get our stick blender back out again. And we'll carefully blend this in. Obviously the heat from the soup is going to cook that spinach. So here we go. Okay. So we're going to bring that soup back up to a boil. We're going to add in our cream. We're going to add in our broccoli florets. We're going to do some seasoning. and then we're going to eat it. Hopefully you can see that the soup's definitely a greener color. We're going to dull that a little bit by adding some cream. So I've got about a cup of cream here, a cup of heavy cream. We'll just add that in. See how that looks. The finishing touch is going to be the addition of our broccoli florets. If you're going to make soup, you may as well make it filled to the brim. So we'll let those broccoli florets cook a little bit. At this point we're going to add a little bit of seasoning. You're going to check for salt. You may not need salt because that chicken stock is fairly salty. I'm going to do the ultimate sin. I'm going to add black pepper to a cream soup. And I like lots of pepper. I said we'll bring this back to the boil, and it's ready to serve. We'll get our garnish ready. All right, we're about ready to bowl the soup up. So we've got a bowl ready. We will just ladle some of our nice cream of broccoli soup into it without making a mess, hopefully. Make sure you get some of that garnish in there. Alright. See if you can get you back in frame here. So there's our soup. Let me just move it up a little bit for you. Alright, final garnish. Just need a little pinch of medium or old cheddar, grated cheddar. So we'll just put that right in the center of the bowl. A nice accompaniment for it. So there you have it. Cream of broccoli with cheddar. Hope you like it.